Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, ANITA FINLEY.
We're going to talk about death today, but death in a different way. Even though when people lose loved ones, it's horrible. They don't know what to do, but then the facts come up and you have to get a funeral director, you have to plan a funeral, especially if this was an emergency and it was unforeseen. So I've been thinking a lot, and I, of course, love talking to Melinda, who is really a person who is very, very knowledgeable about this because she is with a company called Science Care. And Melinda has been talking to us a long time about why people should plan ahead. And I was thinking about young people, and it's, I guess that's my question, Melinda. How old should people be? By the way, it's Melinda Ellsworth. Sorry, I didn't say I just know Melinda so well. She's Director of Donor Services at Science Care. How young would you suggest?
Well, unfortunately, we can't predict death. And so I would highly recommend that anyone, any adult, any responsible adult to consider and to think about it. No, we don't want to think about passing. But if you think about passing as an opportunity and Science Care, working with Science Care, being able to give your body to medical science to help others, it's much easier to think about and to look at it as a gift to future generations. I would certainly encourage everyone, adult age, to really think about it and to look at the options out there, and specifically to look at how important it is to donate your body to science. And really, very young donors are extremely important because we don't have a lot of very young donors. And so being able to work with a young person through medical research and training surgeons is really valuable. So, I would absolutely say everyone should look at it.
It's interesting that you just said something that we don't know how long we are going to be here. And unfortunately, today, before I came to the radio show, a very good friend of mine who was 80 passed away. She's very religious. She's Jewish, and she actually founded the World Erotic Art Museum here in Miami Beach, and she was very wealthy, and she was a very kind, wonderful woman. She contributed to a lot of things, and it was probably a couple of hours before I came here to the studio, and I'm still thinking about it, and it's very hard. But, of course, her family, I think they're flying her up to New Jersey, and I don't know what they're doing, and I've never discussed this with her. Didn't know her that well. But just what you said, one never knows. She died in her sleep.
Yeah.
And it happens.
You never know. You never know. And something, looking at a program, and again, this program is not for everyone, but looking at a program like Science Care where you can donate your body, and it includes free cremation, which is helpful for your family. Looking at something like this is very simple. It's not hard to sign up. You can go to the website and learn about it. Make a phone call, talk to our donor services coordinators and learn about it, and just sign up online. And then let your family know. All they have to do is call us, and then we will handle all of the arrangements from transportation through cremation and return of remains to the family. So I think it's important for people to understand, not to be daunted by this thought and this concept, but to really take a few moments to consider donating your body to science and to look at the website, contact us and ask questions, and sign up. It's so simple, and when the time comes, again, we can't predict passing. When the time comes and your family is left in that moment of grief and heartache, it's much easier for them because we'll handle everything. It's a simple phone call. And they can focus on their grieving and being with the family, rather than have to make all of the arrangements and come up with money and all of those things. We can handle all of those things for the family. I appreciate you talking about this because a lot of people don't want to talk about it, regardless of age.
Right, that's true. And of course, Bill and I have signed up. We did this a couple of years ago, I think, because as soon as I heard about it, it was just something that I believe in so strongly. I mean, whole body donation, it's the Science Care Whole Body Donor Program. It links those that wish to leave a lasting legacy through medical research with the researchers and educators that need human tissue to do their important work. And we are having a cure symposium. Everybody knows that. It's coming up in the end of April 25th. And we'll have a lot of doctors there, and we're going to have a lot of scientists. And the reason it's important is because these people all went to medical school, and they had to have a body to work on. And it's really important. And so I know, as you said, Melinda, everybody has their own beliefs and feelings, but, and I'm just going to say this, my listeners love me no matter what, but I don't want to lie in the ground, not doing any good, but just feeding whatever goes on down there. I want to do something important, and I like the idea that my family doesn't have to struggle and work with anything. They just say, I'm sorry, my mother died, we loved her, and now we're going to celebrate, but I don't want to care about all those other things.
Right, and you can also, in that celebration of your life, you can also celebrate this wonderful gift. Almost, on average, every donor that goes through the Science Care program can participate in 5 medical research and training opportunities. That's a lot. That's important to us. Our mission is to be able to honor the intent of every donor to its maximum benefit. And so we try to place every donor with as many types of projects as possible. And in fact, we're expanding this. We're working on a program called Fulfillment of the Promise, in which we partner with universities across the country and hopefully globally at some point, where we're able to offer the university programs specimens that they typically wouldn't have. And we're able to do that because we are the largest whole-body donor program in the country and potentially in the world. And so we're able to think out of the box and be able to look for opportunities to give people hands-on training, hands-on surgical experience, and hands-on education in a university setting. So for us, that's very important. And I'll have to let you know in our next interview how that goes when we roll that out.
Oh, this is wonderful news. And I think when we first started talking to you, which was quite a few years ago, I don't think you were the largest one, were you?
No, we've been growing and growing thanks to donors and the awareness.
Thanks to Melinda.
Yeah, you're funny, but no, most of our donors come from word of mouth. They come from the families who go through the process and have a great experience and tell all of their friends and family. Overwhelmingly, the majority of donors tell us that they heard about Science Care through friends and family that went through the program, which is very heartwarming to me because, this is my baby, this operation.
Of course.
The donor services part of this is what I do, and I'm very proud of that. I'm proud of the people who answer the phone 24 hours a day to help people in this most difficult time of their life. So that's been a huge factor in the growth. But also I think that our culture, as you know, is leaning more towards cremation in general. We believe in the next 5 years, over 50% of deaths in this country will go through cremation. That's amazing.
It is
amazing. 20 years.
Wow, what a change.
Yeah, huge change. And so what we're trying to talk to people about is if you're already thinking about cremation, consider taking this one step right before cremation, which is donating your body to science to help others and potentially to help millions in future generations, right? It could be the next breakthrough in cancer research. It could be the next breakthrough in Alzheimer's research that you and your fellow donors help to facilitate. So that's really the message we're trying to get out.
It's Melinda. I have to say this is a little strange. You and I are so enthusiastic about it, and people say, well, what are you talking about? Death. We're both crazy, but that's okay because we understand what the next step is. But if you don't have something like this, and I don't know if you've lost anyone in your life, but my father passed away, and I was there with all the rigmarole that had to happen. My mother passed away, the same thing. My aunts, I didn't have any work to do with that, but I saw what that was. That was terrible. And I would much rather have Science Care dealing with us. And I think at this time, I'm really going to give your phone number and your website out. It's really important. So all of you listening, as I say, I just lost a dear friend. She was 80. I didn't know she seemed healthy to me, and She had everything to live for. She had a great deal of money. She was donating to so many places and people. She had this great museum, and she fell asleep, didn't wake up the next morning. And so it's the way it happens. So why don't you just say, all right, I don't know what's going to happen to me, but why don't I just call 1-800-417-3747. That's 1-800-417-3747. The phone is answered 24 hours a day. Just tell them you'd like information. They'll send the information. It's so simple. You just sign your name. Of course, you should read it, sign your name. Then they send you back a little card that you put in your wallet. And if something should happen, Science Care is going to come in and take care of you. And, of course, I think you should tell your children or your loved ones what you've done, and hopefully they will do it also. But let me give you the website. Of course, it's sciencecare.com, sciencecare.com. And let's talk about expense. So many people, I don't know how much money they have in their bank account, but a lot of people don't have $10,000 or even $5,000 sitting there. Mm-hmm. So what are you going to do? Just put on a big charge card?
It's so true. It's so true. It's so stressful, and the family's already in that moment of grief. It's high stress. Death is one of the biggest stressors in a person's life. And adding a financial burden is very difficult for many people. And so what I love about this program is not only are you able to give back to medical research and educating the surgeons, practicing surgeons today, new physicians in the future, but there is no cost to the family. It includes all of the transportation, which is expensive, and it includes the cremation and return of remains to the family in 3 to 5 weeks. So I think that's a very important consideration. It may not be a primary motivator, but it's an important consideration.
Well, the person that I know I recently referred was a very close friend of mine, and her son had a terrible accident, fell off a roof, and was, of course, taken to the hospital, and he never recovered. And she didn't have a lot of money, and he didn't have money. And she had called Science Care because I urged her to do that, and she was very pleased. And she's part of a huge retirement community, and I know she will be referring you because it was so easy. I mean, she still hasn't gotten over the death of her son, but at least she didn't, and he was in North Carolina. So it was going back and forth until, they decided that he wasn't going to live. He was in a coma, and that was it. I mean, and the fact that you all just took care of it. And see, that's it. If people are probably asking, well, we live in Florida, what about that? Well, Science Care has ways to take care of everyone no matter where they are in the United States. Why don't you share that?
Yeah, we definitely have a donation center in Florida, in Coral Springs, to cover this whole state of Florida. But we are a nationwide program, and so we have people who have multiple residences, or they call us on behalf of a family member in another state. We absolutely work with funeral homes all across the country. At the time of passing, when we get that call, we will dispatch one of our partner funeral homes to do the removal, hold the donor in proper storage, get all the permits, do everything that we need to take possession of the donor and move through the medical research phase of the donation. So we handle all of that, and we have it down to a science now. We do this all the time, every day, and all over the country. So we're able to facilitate that for you, and there's no cost, again, for any of that, regardless of where the donor passes.
And that was interesting. Go ahead. Go.
I was just going to say, keep in mind that most everyone will qualify. This isn't like organ donation where there's some very, very strict timelines and very, very strict acceptance criteria. We have a much broader range of time to work with and acceptance criteria. Sometimes we get phone calls 2 days after passing. The family, they just made this decision. Their loved one's at a funeral home. And so we can still proceed as long as that donor is in good condition and meets our criteria. But again, that criteria is low. We simply cannot take donors who are contagious, have some sort of contagious disease for safety reasons. And in some cases, very extreme obesity would rule someone out. But that's pretty much it. And so the vast majority of people who call us are able to be accepted. And we'll tell them right away on the phone. Within 5 minutes, you will know that your loved one is accepted and we're moving forward in the process.
So there's no physician's examination?
No, no. We just simply do a quick medical social screening. We'll ask some questions, and again, specifically about those contagious diseases and weight and height and all of those kinds of things, overall condition, and then we will proceed. We'll give you a go or no-go decision, and we'll proceed with all the rest of the arrangement. And one thing to keep in mind, too, is that we work with the family through the process. We will contact the family a few days after we've begun the process to check in with them, make sure that they have all their questions answered, that they have resources that they need. Sometimes we find a few days after passing, people are struggling with their grief. They may be struggling with other issues, maybe veterans benefits or Social Security benefits. And so our staff can help them with resources to work through those difficult days after passing as well.
And people need death certificates, and you take care of all that?
Yep. We take care of all of that, absolutely. We'll collect that information and make sure that the death certificate is filed with the county. Again, no charge for any of that because it's a part of the process. It's a part of working through the donation process. And we'll help coach the family on how to obtain the certified death certificates once they're complete, so they know exactly what to do at that time.
I just think this is so great. I mean, it is such a hard time for people, and you make it really easy, but the ultimate goal is that person is not in the ground feeding the worms and all that. I don't, even if you put in a crypt, what's it doing there? It's not of any value. Why don't you make it worth something? I'm sorry, I do get on my soapbox about this.
That's okay. No, I mean, I hear you, because the reason why people want to go through this program, typically, what I see, is that they truly want to give back to others. Many people are either in the health field or they have received some sort of medical intervention themselves, and they understand the value of medical technology and medical development and medical advances. So whether they've received a pacemaker or had brain surgery, or maybe they've had a spinal fusion so that they could walk, these things only occur, these developments only happen through the use of cadaveric tissue, through programs like Science Care. Because the development of these implants, techniques, surgical tools, devices, they all need to be researched, vetted, FDA approved. The surgeons need to be trained on these new techniques, devices, implants, and all of this requires cadaveric tissue to do that. And I don't think people understand that full cycle of medical research and development. And it's so important, it's so critical. And with the technological advances at the rate that they're going today, we can't keep up. So we need more people to donate. We need more people to understand the value of donation and to really take a good look at this.
I recently had a experience that there's a company, and I'll tell you what it is. It's called Stryker. They are the people that supply, for people who are having hip and knee replacements and other kinds of replacements. And now they were purchased they purchased Mako. They're very large, and they're down here in South Florida. And of all the Stryker facilities, the largest one is here, where they have a big lab and they bring doctors in. I don't know how often, and they invited me to do that, and I was a little nervous, but I went in there. I like the owner or the people who have the franchise for it. So I went there, and it is amazing that, of course, they have to have body parts to be able to show. Sure, you could use plastic, but it's not the same. And so those body parts had to come from cadavers.
Absolutely. And you'll find, too, that these huge medical device companies like Stryker, they are evolving in the direction of customized medical devices. So having a device developed that is specific to your anatomy and to your issues. And so to enable that process, for them to develop that process, they need to work with human tissue, because every body is different. Every human being's anatomy is very different. And so being able to work with various types of medical tissue is very important for that development, and thus for the patient, right? Because ultimately you or me or our loved ones will be the patients receiving these devices or interventions. And this allows them to give us the best possible treatment options for the best possible outcomes.
Yay. Melinda Ellsworth, Director of Donor Services at Science Care. enthusiasm and dedication, and just one of the nicest people. And I don't know anyone else in this business anyway, but I have to assume, as she said, they're the largest now, and that didn't happen casually. So the website is sciencecare.com. The phone number to call, it's available 24 hours a day, is 1-800-417-3747. And something we're not covering right now, maybe a little time, but they also work with the VA death benefits and funeral honors. Now, would you just go over that a little bit?
Sure. This program works really well with veterans. 1 out of 3 of every donor that goes through our program, and we have thousands of donors that go through every year, are veterans. 1 out of 3. And why this works really well with veterans benefits is, as you may know, your listeners may know, veterans can be interred in National Cemetery with honors, and they can do this at no cost. But the cremation must be paid for. And so you could have a win-win-win situation here for a veteran. They could go through the program, give that one last gift to humanity through medical research and training. The cremation is no cost to the family, and then go forward with the VA internment benefits, honors, and all of that. And we can help coach the family on how to work through that process as well locally.
But they don't have to go to a cemetery. They don't want to, do they? I mean, it's
no, they don't have to. Absolutely not.
It's a veterans cemetery if they want to do that with honors, but if they want to. Yeah, right. I got that. So, because I know Bill, of course, is a World War II veteran, but he doesn't want to do that. He just wants you to take his body away. And it'll be interesting because he has hips and knees, and I think that and they've been working very well for 25 years. I would think he's going to be a very good specimen.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah.
Sorry talking about you like this, Bill, but...
No, it's true, because we have donors of all ages, and you may think that someone could age out, but really no, because if someone is very old, let's say over 100 years old, and we do have donors that are over 100 years old, those are typically the healthiest people around, They're great for this donor program.
That's why they've lived so long, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's important for medical schools to understand. So what made this person live so long?
Yeah. And, but alternatively, I don't want people to think that to rule themselves out, I have cancer, or I have this disease or that disease, or my loved one passed from ALS. No, call us, because any disease process is okay as long as it's not contagious. So we can absolutely... some researchers are looking for a specific disease process tissue.
And so you and they work together, and so you have like a whole catalog, maybe on computer, everybody's catalog. So when they need something, they can call or email and say, "This is what we're looking for," and then you do that. Now, but people can't be. Well, I guess how the question is, how long can you keep somebody?
Can you keep somebody? Do you mean once we have the tissue procured in our care?
Right.
Potentially indefinitely.
How do you keep the tissue? Is it frozen?
It's cold storage.
Cold storage.
But we typically don't have that issue because the need is so great. When donors come through the door, we're matching them with research programs right now.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my.
Absolutely.
Well, I was seeing on your website that you talk about, of course, people with Alzheimer's disease. Now they can actually go into brains, which helps so much for the neurologists to understand and the neurosurgeons. And then breast cancer, that's another thing. I guess it's, you must just be so thrilled to know that you are really helping we who are living. Yeah.
Yes. And working in this organization, in this industry, I've really learned that it's not just this, esoteric concept of future generations. This is helping patients today, because again, that rate of technological advancement is so fast. Doctors are coming in to do their surgical training with a new device or technique or technology, and they're going into practice tomorrow and implementing that new development. So it is absolutely imperative for patients today that we continue to improve awareness about whole body donor programs and when you think about it, so many people understand organ donation and they're signed up to be organ donors. You can also be a body donor as well. So please consider, if you're an organ donor, taking it one more step and signing up to the registry for body donation with Science Care, because we can facilitate both.
Okay, so how does that work? So someone's an organ donor, but they are a whole body donor. So you know that. Mm-hmm. So the minute that something happens, that organ goes.
Yes, the organ procurement organization works first. They have a much tighter timeline. They do their work, and then we will take possession of that donor and do our work, because our timelines are much broader.
Mm-hmm. Huh.
Yeah, it works very well.
It does. And is this international yet?
Well, the donor program is not international. We can only accept donors from the United States. But the use of the tissue and medical development is global. Absolutely. We work with universities across the country. We work with medical research institutions across the world globally, medical research institutions all over the world, Europe, Asia, you name it, and medical research is happening with Science Care donor tissue.
So what would happen if someone is a Science Care donor and they're in Europe on vacation and something happens? Are you able to get their body back?
Unfortunately,
no.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't take a donor that passes in another country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you'd want to have an alternate plan for that situation.
Right. Okay. I don't know the reason, and then the other thing that I think I once asked you, because I left my dog today to come to the radio show, and she was so sad. What are we doing about dogs?
We currently don't have a pet program,
right.
But that's an interesting idea.
Yeah, what do vets do? They have to, people going to veterinarian school, what do they practice on?
Absolutely. I would assume that they would practice on tissue.
Right.
Pet tissue.
Right. Maybe we've just given you a subsidiary. Maybe it's not worth it, but you need to think about it, because we love our pets. You know that.
Absolutely. I know I love my doggie.
And if we thought that our dog, when the dog died, was helping other dogs, that would be a nice thing.
Know. Absolutely.
Okay,
That's a great idea.
You have so much on your plate right now. I'm sorry to do that to you, but Science Care, it's such an easy little name. You won't forget it, and you ought to look into your plan, because a lot of you probably don't have a plan. That's the problem, no matter what. So anyway, I guess we have to go for now, but as usual, Melinda, I just love talking to you, even if it's about death, because it's really about medical research. And thank you so much, always.
Thank you. You have a great day.
Okay, Melinda. Bye.